Hi students, today we'll see the second part of the interior of the earth. In the last period we seen about the crust. In the two types are there, continental crust and oceanic crust. Now below that which layers are there? Today that layers we will study. Now you can see in this diagram, we can see your mantle is there below the crust. Now in mantle we are having two layers. It is divided into two sublayers, upper layer and lower layer. So almost it is 2870 kilometer depth it is from the crust. Okay. So now we will see in details what type of the minerals we can find in this and what is the density of the mantle state. You can see now below the crust lies the mantle. Mantle can be divided into two layers, that is upper layer and lower layer, as we seen in the diagram. The upper layer is more in liquid state, hence one find magma chambers. It is through these chambers that magma comes out on the earth's surface during the volcanic eruptions. Now in the last part also I said you about the volcanic eruptions. Now volcanic eruptions when takes place, what different type of the material come out from that is given here. We can say magma comes out, lava comes out in the form of the liquid only. We can see hot liquid comes out from that. So this type of the volcanic eruptions can take place in mantle state. Now we will see little bit more. This layer is also known as asthenosphere. Epicenter of deep-seated earthquakes are usually found here. Mantle begins at the depth of around 42 kilometers from the Earth's surface. So whatever activities are taking out here, like earthquake is there, volcanic eruptions are there. So all epicenter of all these activities is in mantle state only. And mantle, it begins from the 43 kilometers to 2870 kilometer depth after the continental crust. Now the internal energy release due to the endogenic movements occurring in this layer is responsible for mountain building. Okay, now what do you mean by endogenic movements of the earth? Means internal movement. So as I said, now only volcanic eruptions are there, earthquakes are there. All these are the endogenic movements. Now how these are occurring, we can see. So what things will takes place if this type of activities will taking place, like volcanic eruptions will be there. So whatever larva is coming out from that, it was in a liquid state. Now whenever it gets cooled down, so it can form in the mountains, it can form into the rifts, volcanic eruption, earthquakes, many things. In this layer, it is referred that the temperature at the depth of 2400 to 2900 kilometer depth could be around 2200 degrees Celsius to 2500 degrees Celsius. That means you can imagine what is the temperature in the mental state. Okay, whenever usually we see in the summer season, whenever 40 degrees there or above 40 degrees there, we feel so hot. Now you can imagine 2200 to 2500 degrees Celsius. Temperature means you can imagine what will happen if you go near to that. Here there is a sudden change in the structure and density of material. It is estimated that this layer extends up to the depth of 2870 kilometer below the continental crust, because 0 to 42 kilometer it is continental crust only, and below that 43 kilometer to 2870 kilometer we can find the mental state is there. In that we are having two layers, that is upper layer and lower layer. The average density of this layer is 4.5 gram per centimeter cube, and it increases with the depth. So starting we can find 4.5 density is there. As we move deep inside the mental state, the density gets increased. Increasing pressure is the reason behind this. The density of lower mantle is about 5.7 gram per centimeter cube. So now we can see wherever it get decreases. If we go deep inside till 2870 kilometer, we can find 5.7 gram per centimeter cube the density of the mental state. Now below that we find another layer is there. You can see orange in color. It is the little bit reddish in color. This is the core. Now in this also we can see two types are there, outer core and inner core. Now outer core here it is liquid because in mantle it is presented near to the mantle. So mantle is in also liquid state. So we can find here it is also in liquid state. As if we move downside, there also we can find in the liquid state also, and down at the end, that is the center of the earth, it is present. Now this is approximately 3471 kilometer. It is more than the other two layers of the interior of the earth. So that is why here most of the activities takes place. Now let us see in deep. Here the core is given. The core starts from around the depth of about 2900 km from the earth's surface, and the part of the earth interior extending from the mantle up to the center of the earth is the core, as we seen. The thickness of the core is about 3471 km, and this layer can be divided into outer core and inner core. Now here also it is divided on the basis of the which type of the minerals we can find at the state of the core. Now first we will see outer core. Now the outer core extends from around 2900 kilometers to 5100 kilometer. Means almost it is double. The secondary wave cannot pass through the core. That means the whatever the waves which are created by the earthquake, it will not pass through in the outer core. So they get absorbed in this region. This has led the scientists to believe that the core could be liquid or semi-liquid in nature. Now if it was in liquid state, easily the waves, secondary waves could have passed through that one. Because of this, it is semi-liquid, means not in liquid, also not fully in solid. That is why these waves are not entered through that. The primary waves travel through this layer, but their speed reduces when passing through this layer. Okay, but the other layers which we say primary waves are there, that can be passed through the outer core, because whenever they get passed, because of it is in semi-liquid state, so the speed of the waves get slowly reduced. So here the density of the outer core is 9.8 gram per centimeter cube. The temperature of the liquid outer core is around 5000 degrees Celsius. You can imagine 5000 degrees Celsius means what will happen if you go little bit also near to that layer. So within seconds you will become cold. So we have learned that the outer core of the earth interior is in a liquid state, and the proportion of iron is more in this layer. So iron mineral we can find here. Vertical currents originate in this liquid layer. This is called as another characteristics of this area. The difference between the temperatures of outer and inner core give rise to the vertical current. The Earth's rotation gives them eddy, means circular motion, which it revolves. Electric current develops in this spiral motion of liquid iron, and thus magnetic field is generated. So it is sometimes called the geothermal too. This magnetic field of earth is functional even outside the earth's surface for a quite a distance. As a result, a cover develops around the earth because of the magnetic field. The earth atmosphere is protected from solar winds coming from the sun, so the magnetic field thus developed around the earth is called magnetosphere. So now we have studied in previous standards the layers of the earth. This not but atmosphere, lithosphere, mesosphere, hydrosphere. So this all type of the waves we can find there, and we can see solar winds also can develop near to that. This is the fifth and important sphere of the earth, you can see. Now inner core. The inner core extends from around 5150 kilometer to the depth of around 6371 kilometer, means almost it is reaches to the center of the earth. Now it is the core of the earth which is in a solid state. Now we have studied here the outer core, which is the sub division of core, it is in liquid, but inner core it is in a solid state. The density of this pair is around 13.13 grams per centimeter cube. Iron and nickel are the major elements we can found in solid state of inner core. So therefore we can find this layer is also called as NIF. As the material in this layer are under extreme pressure, the inner core is in solid state. The temperature here is almost equivalent to the surface temperature of the sun. That means you can imagine here the temperature of the sun is very high. Now in this way we have studied the interior parts of the earth. Now in next video we can see another chapter.